In this video, we are going to change the subject of a formula, including where a power or root of the subject appears, or where the subject appears more than once. If you're revising, you can pause the video and have a go at question 1, and then there's a question 2 as well, down here. Okay, let's first of all look at when we've got squared terms and we have to make them the subject. In that case, just treat that as if this is x. Don't worry if it's squared or cubed or rooted. Try and make x squared the subject first of all, and then after that we can focus on making x the subject. So if this was just x, what we would do is add a to both sides, and we would end up with x squared equals a plus b. Now if you can remember from maybe Pythagoras' theorem or something, like finding the length of side of a square, if you know its area, to reverse a squared, to get from squared back to what it was originally, you have to square root both sides. So if you square root x squared, you just get x, and then we're going to square root the right hand side, which means we've got to put a square root over the full right hand side, not just over each term individually. So we've square rooted the full left hand side, square rooted the full right hand side. Part B, here the whole left hand side has been square rooted, so we could reverse that and make the left hand side not be square rooted by making it x plus c. And if we do that by squaring the left hand side, so we've got to do the same thing to the right hand side, and we have to square it. Then if x plus c is equal to d squared, we need to take off the c from both sides. So x would equal d squared minus c. Okay, part C, here it's not the x squared, we've actually got an expression x plus c and it's squared. So we can deal with that squared first of all because effectively all of the left hand side has been squared. So if we reverse that by taking the square root of the left hand side, you would be left with x plus e. So if we've taken the square root of the left hand side, we've got to take the square root of the right hand side, and that will give us the square root of f. So just to recap, if the whole left hand side is squared, then we can square root the whole left hand side, and that reverses it and means we don't have the squared there anymore. We're then left with just x plus e. We can get rid of that e by taking e from both sides, and we have the square root of f minus e. Part D, we've got a square root here, but it's just the x that's being square rooted, not the whole left hand side, so we can't deal with that just yet. We're going to make the square root of x the subject first of all. So we can eliminate that g, get rid of it by adding g to both sides. And we've got the square root of x is equal to h plus g, or g plus h. Now the whole left hand side is rooted, or x is rooted, and to reverse that square root we can square that. So we've squared the left hand side to just have no square root, and we'd have to then square the right hand side too. Part E, we've got I equals j, and then square root x over k. What would we do here? We've got a few options. I think I would divide through by j because the root is only over the x over k. It's not the j that's being rooted. So I'm going to divide both sides by j. And now the whole right hand side is square rooted, and I can square the right hand side, which gets rid of the square root. And then we have to square the left hand side. And how do we do that? Let's just look at that and be on the side. If you've got I over j and you square that, that means you're multiplying I over j by itself. If you multiply two fractions together, you're multiplying the numerators together, I times I, which is I squared, and then you multiply the denominators together, j times j, which would be j squared. So the left hand side becomes I squared over j squared. And we can finish this off in one go, or potentially do it in two goes if you're not as confident. The x is divided by k. I would just multiply both sides by k, and that would eliminate the k. Your other option is you can cross multiply, but that will take an extra step. So times the right by k, times the left by k. So we've just got x on the left hand side. If we multiply this fraction by k, what does that give you? Well, let's look at that on the right hand side. If you had a fraction and you ever multiply it by a number or another fraction, the number we can change into a fraction, and then we can use the same idea as we had up here. So k as a fraction is k over 1, and then we're multiplying two fractions together. You would do I squared times k, which would be just I squared k, and then on the denominator we've got j squared times 1, which is just j squared. So we get x equals I squared k over j squared. And we've got one more. We're going to make r the subject. You can do this question in two steps. I'm just going to do it I'm going to do it in a lot more. I'm going to try and break it down to make it simpler. 4/3 means there's a divide by 3 on the right hand side. I'd like to get rid of that fraction and times by 3. So we'll times both sides by 3, and we get 3v equals 4 pi r cubed. Then we can see on the right hand side we've got r cubed, and it's multiplied by 4 pi. To make r the subject, we're first of all going to make r cubed the subject, and then we'll get r. So the r cubed is multiplied by 4 pi. 4 pi is just a number, around about 12. So r cubed is times by 12. So we want to reverse that and divide by 12, or more specifically, we want to divide by 4 pi. So the left hand side would be 3v divided by 4 pi, and the right hand side would be r cubed. If you cube a number, how do you get back to the number before it was cubed? You would take the cube root. So the left hand side, 3v over 4 pi, we've got to take the cube root, so we put a 3 outside that root. And we're cube rooting the r cubed, so which is the whole right hand side. So we've got a cube root the whole left hand side, so that's why the root's over all of it. That's the last one in that section, but then we have to look at these three, and they are quite tricky. This is the hardest part of this topic. This is where x appears more than once. We can go to 2a here and see that we've got lx minus mx equals n. If you bring one term to the other side, then we've got x's on both sides, and that causes issue. You can't say x equals something and then the right hand side has got x in it as well. Okay, so what do we do instead? Well, if that was something, let's say that was 5x minus 2x equals n, you would say that's 3x equals n, wouldn't you? You would work out how many x's you have, and then you would divide through by that number. So here you would divide by 3, and you would say x is n over 3. But because we don't have numbers, we can still say how many x's we have. How many x's do we have? We have l x's minus m x's. So how many x's are there? There's l minus m x's. And that might not make sense to you. So you might be best thinking of that as we just factorize out the x. If we factorize out the x, then we've only got one x in the equation. And what we don't want to do here, before this sort of problem, we maybe expanded the bracket. We definitely don't want to do that because we'd be back to where we started. So a bracket, if we've got x and a bracket, it means it's x is multiplied by this bracket. So then we want to divide both sides by that bracket to get rid of that bracket, so x is on its own. So we're going to divide both sides by L minus M. So x equals n divided by L minus M. Let's try that again for a different one. Here we've got x on the left hand side and the right hand side. If we're going to use this technique of factorizing, so we've only got one x, we'll need to make sure x is on the same side. There's maybe a few things I want to do here first. I'd like to get rid of that r, divide by r. I'm going to multiply both sides by r. That should hopefully make things a bit easier. P times r is PR, x times r is xr, or rx might be better moving forward. I suppose you could have thought of that as a bracket times by r, so we've expanded the bracket out there. And the right hand side, if it's divided by r and you times by r, you get rid of that fraction. I'm then going to, doesn't matter which side I go here really, so I'm going to take off the x from both sides. So x is not there. We would have PR plus RX minus x. Notice I can't bring those together because I don't know how many x's we have here to simplify that, so still two terms there. On the right hand side we've got q. The PR doesn't have an x involved, so we could get rid of it, and you could have done that in the last step if you wanted to do two things at once. So we'd be left with Rx minus x equals q minus PR. We now have got x on one side, which is how you solve equations. You get x to one side and then everything else to the other side. But there's two terms with x, so what we have to do is factorize out the x, and we have r minus 1. And our last step is if x is multiplied by r minus 1, to get x on its own, we'd have to divide by r minus 1. The left hand side becomes x, and the right hand side just as well with this here. Sometimes you can get equivalent answers, but depending on the order in which you do things. So you could have got PR minus Q divided by 1 minus R. That's also an answer. They're equivalent. Okay, this one here is probably very familiar. You'll see this in quite a few past papers, so definitely worth getting the hang of. X is on the same side, however it's inside a division, and there's terms added and subtracted at the numerator and denominator. So I would like to get rid of these fractions first of all, even though x is still on the same side. And what I'm going to do here is cross multiply. So the left hand side would be w times the x plus t. W times x is wx, w times t is wt. On the right hand side we've got v times x minus u. So v times x is vx, and v times minus u is v minus u, or is minus vu, or minus uv. I then would like to have my x's on the same side. If I bring x over here, sometimes you need to look ahead. That's okay, but then if I want to bring this one here to the right hand side because it doesn't have x's, and then both of those terms would be negative, you'd end up with 3 negative terms there. So sometimes if you think ahead, you could have less negatives, which is nicer to work with. It doesn't matter if you're confident with your negatives, but it's maybe looks nicer if we take the x term off the left hand side, and we're left with wt equals vx minus, I'm going to put that wx in there, take it off, and then minus the vu. The vu hasn't got an x in it, which the other two have, so we can get rid of it. Add VU to both sides. Then we'd have WT plus VU equals VX minus WX. And that's great. We've got our x terms to one side and everything else to the other side. We then need to factorize out the x, so we've only got x once. The left hand side stays as it is. X is multiplied by v minus w, so you divide both sides by v minus w. So WT, so that one's just not that legible. That's there, WT plus VU over V minus